Test. Hey there guys, what's up? So I finally got some time and the opportunity to make another video, a non-prayer video perhaps. So recently I have gone through many trials, though maybe not gone through, but I have experienced many trials and probably a little bit of sorrows and yes, sadness. I've also learned something I think that truly matters more than anything else in our lives, and they will mean the difference of life and death. If you don't know, in case you still don't, you still don't know where to find those answers. But for this video, I am not gonna give you specific answers towards certain big questions, because honestly, I do not know for certain. I do not know the answer with utter certainty for certain questions. Since I like to, I like to stay as honest as possible to you guys while making anything, while uploading anything on YouTube. Since I consider my YouTube channel a confession, a room of confession for, most primarily for myself, and secondarily for my subscribers, my fellow audiences. And yes, I on the other hand, I also use my YouTube channel as a medium to to strengthen my confidence in overcoming social anxiety, stuttering, sometimes depression, etc. So it's, I suppose, it's always, it's always useful and utterly important to have something, if not someone, to rely on, to depend upon, not just in terms of financials, but moral support, emotional support, those kind of things. So here I like to, I like to talk about how to use God's wisdom to deal with the trials, sorrows you must encounter, you must face in your times of life, during your lifetime here on earth. Since according to the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verses 33, here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heed. I have overcome the world. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. You just have to admit that nowadays the world teems with wars, conflicts, arguments, from something as little, for something as insignificant as an argument between members of a family unit or a household, to something as collaterally damaging as a full-scale war among nations on earth. They all reflect the conflicting nature of humanity, because we humans, we always want we always need and we always want something, and sometimes also someone, for the sake of safety and security. We always need someone, if not something, or something if not someone. No matter your socioeconomic status, no matter how how much of money you have access to, no matter where you are, you always need someone, or something, or maybe both, to neutralize and alleviate or mitigate, if not completely neutralize, your feelings of emptiness and sometimes loneliness, sometimes hopelessness and fears, you name them. There are a multitude of trials, sorrows, and problems we just have to face. And I think what the mainstream what the mainstream education system failed to teach us about life is that we just have to suffer, we just have to struggle, no matter how wealthy you are, how powerful you are, or how much power can your parents or grandparents back you up, to grant you a favor, or bend the laws towards your direction in order to make life or things easier for you. No matter how much power and money you have, you just have to face the trials and sorrows, and it's become a universal constant for everyone here on earth, and since from birth, from early childhood care centers, and all the way to all the way to uni, to postgraduates. The teachers, the lecturers, they don't teach you how to stay calm, how to stay focused, how to stay calm, focused, faithful, despite this, despite the outside world, despite the situations, despite how much amount of agony you are currently enduring and bearing. So they do not, they can do nothing but teach you how to follow the instructions and commands given to you. And sometimes their commands, their instructions can sound highly ambiguous, even too ambiguous for you to fully interpret and comprehend in order to get something perfectly done or fulfilled. And they often use excuses to block you off, to impede your questioning, or your inquisitiveness, your inquisitions. Sorry Sorry if I got the grammar here wrong, but I am trying to tell you the fact that the system, the education system, not just the education system, but the entire matrix, arbitrarily generates an infinite amount of propaganda to convince you that the world teems with joy, with peace, with love, and I still don't know the full picture. I still haven't seen the full picture, so I still can't tell you all the underlying reasons why they are doing so, to keep us under, to keep us in check, to keep us under their control or indoctrination. I always think, if why not just let us know the truth as soon as possible. If we know, had we known all the necessary truths and facts in advance as soon as possible, then it would save them. It would have saved them a tremendous amount of effort, money, time to just discipline us. And there will always be docile people who are willing to obey commands, instructions without any conditions or questioning. So why not just why not just try to make both parties' lives much easier by teaching us the facts and truths? So yes, but I let's not make this video so metaphysical, because I do not want you to bore with vague ideas and wild speculations I have got here. So the main focus, the main aim for this video is to help you get through the trials, the sorrows you just have to endure, such as such as how to accept a fact or a truth that you can't change. You can't change someone or something, because it took me myself a tremendous amount of effort and time just to realize the simple fact that I do not hold all the cards, all the power to make something, to make something happen, to make someone change their mind. And that's basically why arguments, quarrels, conflicts happen at the very first place. Because whenever you have an argument, whenever you have a disagreement with someone in particular, let's say, for example, your mother, or your friend, or your girlfriend, or your spouse, or your, that can be anyone, and you want to change their mind, then you try to convince them that you can attain something that you, or something that you promised to deliver, yet you didn't fulfill the promise, and you try to justify. You try to justify. Try to make them understand why you failed to do it, why you failed to deliver the promise, why you failed to honor the agreement, and you try to justify why, what makes you fail to do that. Most typically it can involve some sort of a compelling evidence you have on hand, and they all seem very convincing, and they are probably true, and yet the other party, they don't understand. They just do not accept the fact that you have compelling reasons not to fulfill such agreement, and you let's say sometimes sometimes such failure does involve a compassionable or a understandable cause of non-delivery. Yes, so you try to you try to justify, you try to make them accept the fact, and they usually don't, and here comes that's what basically initiates an argument at the very first place, so far as I can presume. And yes, there's another obstacle that or let's say probably also a form of sorrow that we just have to accept, or else we can't move forward without accepting the fact that you can't change it. You can't. You just can't. You just can't have it. You just can't be that someone you want to be. So that's where God's wisdom becomes handy at that moment, and in fact, baptism represents a ritual that where you decided to forfeit everything you have or you once had, during baptism you basically have made up your mind that you will forfeit, or not just you will, not like you will forfeit, but you stand ready to forfeit, to give up everything here on earth you once had, you have had, you are currently having, and you are about to have. You stand, being a Christian means you have to stand ready to lose everything but God. That means since God, since nothing truly matters but God, since God created everything through Him, through His Son, Jesus, and being a second divine form of Trinity, God, Jesus Himself, He is also God. He also falls within the range God's flawless and divine nature. He is part of the Trinity, and that means He is God, and and that means you during your baptism, you basically declared to God that you stand ready to forfeit everything and everyone but Jesus. Does that make sense to you? I surely hope so. Yes. And what else? Reason, yes. Another thing that you can only use God's wisdom to overcome, yet the school, the education system, or the matrix failed to help you understand, or if they do deliberately conceal such fact away from us. In either case, in any event, the truth is, most of us become, horribly average, obedient, and docile to the system due to the lack of knowledge, due to the lack of God's wisdom, due to the deficiency in faith and the genuine faith to take sets of actions, a tremendous amount of actions at collateral, at magnificently collateral level. So, yes. So another trial, another form of sorrow you are destined to have here on earth is loneliness, sorrow, and hopelessness, depression. Basically, I based on my knowledge, I can attribute all these sorts of problems and trials to one cause. I can attribute all of them to one simple underlying cause. That is, the deficiency of the Holy Spirit. The deficiency, or a devoid of fellowship with God, with His divine attributes. So, you must know that there's no way to, we have no no cure for that. We have no cure to heal your loneliness here on earth. It's we do not have a once and for all cure for that, so far as I presume and so far as I can know. But we can only use God's wisdom, God's armor to endure. And many people, they just seek, they stretch their extreme length trying to seek a purpose of their life. They, they dig, they drill, they work very hard, they strive to reach something or someone that that eventually doesn't quite matter to them. Just, let's say, for example, I used to, not that I used to, but I still pretty much enjoy having sex with my ex doll, sex doll. But now I do not find that so enjoyable as having sexual intercourse with a real human being who truly loves me. But unfortunately, so far I have no one like that, to completely heal such gap, to completely fill in such gap, or to completely neutralize such emptiness. So now I have no choice but to continue to pray, and in the meantime, continue to sin, continue to, yes, to piss God off. So so that's another sorrow, another trial the school doesn't teach you about. Yet you can still use God's wisdom to not to just endure it so that you can survive, but to overcome it. Though I have yet earned the credit to make such statement, because I haven't overcome such vulnerability. Yes. Though I yes, despite all of that, I can now, how should I put it? I can now coexist with my, I can now manage to coexist with all my weaknesses, all my vulnerabilities, all of my all those previous frustrating experiences I have had with friends of mine, or previous friends of mine. I now begin to understand and accept the fact that they will not always be there for me. They will not always be there for you. They will not always they will not always remain loyal to your cause. So you just have to accept that. And I have found 10x rules quite quite a match to to such biblical principle, that sometimes you just have to give something up. You just have to forfeit something and someone in order to attain true joy and contentment, fulfillment, etc. So to summarize, to to summarize, you do not have to necessarily overcome something that, or you do not have to necessarily, beat something down or knock something down to completely overwhelm something or someone who used to overwhelm you to gain joy and fulfillment. But instead, you use God's wisdom of acceptance, God's wisdom of learning how to accept, how to forgive yourself, how to move forward, and how to coexist with how to coexist with frustrating people and sorrowful situations and trials. So I hope I have made my point clear here, and assuming if I get lucky tomorrow, perhaps I could have someone who is who speaks English and who also is a Christian tomorrow. Well, I do look forward to every interaction and conversation I think I am about to have with anyone, as long as they are willing to talk, as long as they stand ready to open up their mouths. I don't care if you genuinely want to make friends with me. I simply value the process. I simply enjoy having conversation with people on a variety of topics, including but are not limited to entrepreneurship, to spiritual improvement and enlightenment, business, science, etc. So thank you again for watching and listening. Stay tuned, stay blessed, stay faithful. Let's hope I can make such routine as consistent as consistent and helpful as I can. So thanks again. Have a great day or great night. I shall see you on the next video on YouTube. Bye bye. Cheers.